Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because what's unfolding right now between the UK and Israel isn't just another diplomatic spat. It's a seismic shift in the global economy that could rattle trade routes, investment flows, and international alliances. This is how global economy works. And today, we're diving headfirst into the escalating standoff between Britain and Israel, where economics, politics, and human rights are colliding like tectonic plates. So here's the tea. The United Kingdom just slammed the brakes on new free trade negotiations with Israel. Why? Because of Israel's intensified military operations in Gaza, operations that have drawn global outrage. Hundreds of Palestinians have died in just days, and Britain, alongside Canada and France, is now signaling it's had enough. Now, here's where things get economically spicy. Britain didn't just pause talks, it went full throttle with sanctions too, targeting illegal Israeli settlements in the West Bank. That's not just diplomatic finger-wagging, that's economic firepower in action. You might be wondering, wait, why does this matter for global markets? Well, trade deals influence everything, from how much you pay for hummus at the store to whether British fintechs get investment from Tel Aviv. And when two major economies hit the pause button, the ripple effects are global. Britain's new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is walking a tightrope. At home, he's under intense pressure. Thousands are protesting weekly, demanding justice for Palestinians. Abroad, he's trying not to derail decades of diplomatic ties with Israel. And so, Starmer stepped up. He called the suffering of children in Gaza utterly intolerable. But here's the twist. Starmer isn't alone. Canada's Mark Carney and France's Emmanuel Macron have linked arms with the UK, issuing a joint statement that basically says, Israel, chill the hell out, or face the consequences. Let's pause here. This is a moment where moral outrage is translating directly into economic leverage. We're seeing sanctions not just as punishment, but as a tool for global justice. Okay, think macro for a second. If this trade freeze solidifies, Israel could find itself diplomatically isolated by some of the world's most powerful economies. Not great for business, especially not when you rely on imports and exports for tech, arms, and agriculture. On the flip side, the UK is playing a risky hand too. Halting trade with Israel could mean missing out on high-growth sectors like cybersecurity and defense tech. But that's not all. 23 countries are now aligning with this sentiment. That's right, 23. And the European Union is now whispering about reviewing its own trade agreement with Israel. We're talking full-blown economic ripple waves. So what is Israel doing in the meantime? Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu isn't backing down. He launched Operation Gideon's Chariots, a full-force military campaign to seize control of Gaza. Now imagine this from a global supply chain lens. Gaza's not a trade hub, but Israel sure is. And if instability spills over into broader regional conflict, you're looking at potential shipping delays, investor hesitance, and spikes in oil prices, especially if things flare up near Iran or the Strait of Hormuz. Britain, France, and Canada aren't just dropping economic bombs. They're calling out Israel's blockade strategy. Let this sink in. After nearly 3 months of siege, Israel let in a few aid trucks. A few. In a region with over 2 million people on the brink of starvation. Their response? It's not enough. And they're not alone. Human rights groups, the United Nations, and even the EU's foreign ministers are applying pressure. But here's the kicker. Israel says these actions are unjustified and regrettable. Yeah, that's not going to de-escalate things. What you should be watching. Will the UK go further and slap a full arms embargo on Israel? Could the EU freeze or cancel its trade deal entirely? What happens if the ICC or ICJ officially labels Israeli actions as war crimes? And how will all of this impact global markets, especially commodities and energy? Because remember, economic disruption loves political chaos. And when investor confidence drops, everyone feels it, from Wall Street to your local corner shop. Amnesty International didn't hold back. They called the world's inaction morally reprehensible. Nearly 80 days of broadcasted starvation. And only now are governments moving? That's what critics are saying. But finally, the global tide might be turning. More sanctions are coming. More aid is being demanded. More pressure is being applied. But is it too late? And will Israel shift course? Here's where how global economy works. This isn't just about Gaza. This is a case study in the new age of trade diplomacy, where human rights violations can cost you billions in exports, where moral legitimacy becomes a currency, where global South nations are watching closely to see if Western nations hold their allies accountable, or just their enemies. And guess what? You're living through it. So whether you're an investor, a student, or someone just trying to make sense of our crazy world, keep watching. Because the global economy, it's not just charts and numbers. It's about people, power, and the price of principles. Subscribe for more breakdowns on how global economy works, because this story is far from over. Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and stay ready.